Hey guys! Hey, it's me. I'm sorry about the delay. It was a crosstalk issue with our system, our program that connects with our YouTube channel. I don't want to bore you with all that. I'm here now. It's live chat with me, Bryan, Director of Skincare Research at Paula's Choice. We make skincare. We try to do everything we can to get you and let you keep the best skin of your life via our products and the information we provide on our websites and at one point in our books to help you have a stronger understanding of what it takes based on the research to have beautiful skin and to solve your skin problems. And the questions are mounting. This is wonderful. But I've been away for a week, so I have to catch you up on a few things. First of all, it is June 28th, so we are 2 days from the end. Okay, good. No one's like saying, I can't hear you. We're about 2 days from the end of our anniversary sale. We've been doing different promotions throughout the month. June is our anniversary month, and we have been around for 23 years. Yay. That's saying quite a lot given how many skincare brands hit the scene and kind of crash and burn. And of course, there's a lot of long-standing brands. We all know what those are. But for a not so little anymore brand like Paula's Choice to still be in the thick of it is a testament to not only your trust in us and your support of us, but what happens behind the scenes from product development to our website, web developers, to make sure that the experience of shopping with Paula's Choice is as wonderful and seamless as possible, no matter what device you shop on. We are, at least today, I'm not 100% sure if it's changing in the next couple of days because the sales are coming fast and furious, but for today, it is still 23% off daytime moisturizers with sunscreen from Paula's Choice. And so as we are going through these questions, if you have a question related to which daytime moisturizer with sunscreen would be best for you, I would love to answer those so that you can take advantage of this 23% discount on those products before either today is up or before the month is up. But if the special changes and you order a couple days later, talk to me about it. We'll make sure you get that discount. The other thing that I wanted to mention before I dive into questions is that we have a new booster launching next month, and I'm very excited about it. I was already really excited about just the formula and what the core ingredient can do based on the research. But while I was on vacation, I had firsthand experience with just how fast this product works and how amazing it is. Now, granted, disclaimer here, my personal experience with the product isn't going to be exactly identical to how everybody else will experience the product. I have to say that just so you know that, truth and beauty. But the product in question that we'll be launching next month is our 10% azelaic acid booster. Get a little sneak peek about what the packaging is going to look like. So yes, as the name says, it contains 10% azelaic acid, along with some supporting ingredients, including about 0.5% of salicylic acid, which helps bring the azelaic acid a bit deeper into the surface layers of skin, along with the natural calming properties that salicylic acid has. It's got the skin restoring ingredient adenosine and some really nice soothing agents in a lotion texture. It is the US version of a product that we've had overseas in Europe for a couple of years, our skin transforming multi-corrective treatment that we formulated a while back as an alternative to benzoyl peroxide. Benzoyl peroxide is available for acne over the counter in the United States, as well as by prescription with various topical antibiotics. But in the European Union countries, you have to get a prescription for benzoyl peroxide. So we wanted to make sure that we had a product that had a benzoyl peroxide-like action on breakouts, and azelaic acid fits that bill. Among its many other, unlike benzoyl peroxide, which pretty much just does one thing really, really well, azelaic acid does a lot of things really, really well. And so I'm on vacation. I have not had a breakout in forever. I can't even remember up until recently the last time I had a significant breakout. Maybe a little white bump here and there, but nothing my BHA can't handle. So we're up north in here in Michigan, and I tend to pack a bit lighter on such trips, and I thought I had a little bottle of our Resist Daily Pore Refining Treatment, the travel size, super adorable, super handy if you love that product. I thought I had that in my bag, that I was set. And we're literally one day into the trip, and I get this giant bulbousy pimple. I'm not even going to call it a breakout. It's just a flat out pimple on the tip of my nose. I was very fast heading toward Rudolph territory. My nose was red and swollen, and this bump was only getting bigger. And then hours later, it was joined by another one. It was like, gremlins, they're multiplying. And I'm looking through and thinking, okay, well, I've got my salicylic acid toner. I'll just, start attacking it with that. And I couldn't find it. And I didn't have anything else. And I'm looking through Ben's bag, and he doesn't have anything. Normally, he travels with BHA 9, which is his savior for any type of breakout. I'm like, all right, I can roll with BHA 9. Well, all I had left over from my European trip was our azelaic acid product. And I thought, all right, there is research showing that it can help with breakouts and clogged pores. I've got nothing left to lose, and I've got nothing left to use except this. So I put it on, and by this time it was evening. I was going through my nightly routine, and the next morning, I am not even kidding, the redness and the swelling was all but gone. There was a little bit of residual redness, and the bump was I'd say at least reduced by half. And after I put it on again the next morning, and then later that night, you could hardly tell I had a pimple there. I mean, how cool is that? So I'm really excited for you guys to try this product. It's not just for clogged pores or the occasional breakout you get on a vacation. It is for skin tone issues. It is for redness issues because it's so calming. It's just an amazing unsung hero ingredient. And as with any Paula's Choice booster, even though azelaic acid is the called out ingredient and present, in a higher concentration than usual, we added several supporting ingredients, so it is not just a one-note product. Okay, now for the questions. All right, these come in. Let's see. Let's start with Gianna. Hi, Bryan. A lot of PC's products claim to build collagen, but how do products applied topically do that? Just curious. We don't make that direct claim a whole lot. Maybe here or there, and you might have seen it enough that you just kind of figured that we make it for a lot of different products. But the way that a lot of anti-aging products that contain the right kind of ingredients, retinol being an example, or certain peptides, work to build collagen is they do one of two things. They either stimulate the mechanisms in skin that help create healthy new collagen, and those mechanisms can become damaged or faulty or completely inactive over time. Some of it is due to just the natural aging process, but a lot of it is due to accumulated sun damage. One more reason to put that SPF on every single morning, even if you don't think you need it, you do. We all do. The other thing that anti-aging products can do is help repair, to some extent, never quite as much as we'd like, but to some extent, they can help repair existing damage. So they work in two different ways. And what you'll see as a result of that is you'll see visibly firmer skin. Typically, you'll see some enhanced resilience. If you have really, really early signs of some sagging through here, you might get a bit of tightening. It is not akin to what a surgical procedure would do. And if you have more significant sagging, anti-aging skincare, that is one area where it absolutely has limitations, no matter what the claim is. Those are really the two. That water is warm. Ew. Those are really the two major ways in which those ingredients work. And then what often doesn't get said is that when you protect your skin every day with a broad spectrum sunscreen rated SPF 30 or greater, and you're applying it evenly and liberally to all areas of exposed skin, skin loves repairing and making collagen on its own. It knows what to do. We just need to stop getting in its way. And one of the major ways that we unknowingly do that is by foregoing or skimping on the sun protection. That constant exposure to UV light puts skin in a constant state of panic and chaos, and all this damage is going on, and it literally says, you know what, I've got bigger problems to deal with than trying to keep this existing collagen fresh and young and healthy and springy. You know, I just don't have time for that. That's not priority anymore. But when we start protecting our skin from that ongoing cumulative damage, eventually, and it'll happen, you know, how soon it happens really depends on the extent of damage you have, and then how diligent you are about putting the sunscreen on every day, like we all should. I don't mean to be lecturing, but you know, it's so important. But it's one of the hidden benefits of that daily SPF. You're not necessarily going to see that instant result, but behind the scenes, your skin is definitely appreciating the fact in more ways than you know that you're protecting it. So let's move on from that. But yeah, I love sharing that bit of information, because when people say, when they look at my license and say, you know, they kind of do the math in their head and look at me and look back at the license, they're like, you're not 44. And I'll say, yeah, I really am. That's not a fake ID. And I know one of the reasons, separate from using Paula's Choice all these years, one of the reasons that my skin looks the way it does at my age is because of my daily habit of sun protection, which is something I've been doing for quite some time. So I like to think of myself as walking proof that of the difference sun protection makes, because I can point to a lot of people my age or even 5 years younger who look older. They look older than me, and they haven't been good about sun protection, or they're still tanning. And I've seen people in their 20s whose skin is in the shape of somebody who we would typically associate with, that's how skin should look in like mid 40s, 50s. And it's sun damage. It just hammers away at your skin. SN12 says, hi Bryan, could you tell us about the PC labs where PC products are made? How does PC hire cosmetic chemists in terms of who they're looking for? The team behind formulations of products. Wow, there's a lot of questions there. And then they go on to say, how products are made in video format would be so great to watch. Refinery 29 has a series showing how makeup skincare products are made. Also, ColourPop's cool videos. I've seen the ColourPop ones. At this point, our lab, our in-house lab, is an actual legitimate real-life lab, and we have a real-life, incredibly talented and very smart chemist who heads up our lab, and then she works with several key players on our product development team. Some of the products that I don't think we're selling anything right now that is made in-house. And actually, I should qualify that. We come up with approved formulas in our lab, and then that formula, which we create and we own, is outsourced to a manufacturer in the United States. We work with several different labs around the country, and we have long-standing relationships with them, and they do what's called scale-up. So our lab, we do not have manufacturing facilities or capabilities other than very small batches. Like, you know, we can make 16, 32 ounces of a product, like a moisturizer, and then that gets portioned into smaller packaging that we will test in-house, and then it goes through several rounds of testing, and then when we get to a formula that everybody agrees on, and it's adhering to the truth and beauty tenets, and we love the formula on paper and in use. For the majority of our products, we also do an external panel test where anywhere from 50 to 100 people whose skin type and skin concerns match the product. No sense in sending somebody with dry skin a moisturizer for oily skin. We pretty much know what they're going to tell us about the product. So we make sure that those qualifications match up, and then we take that feedback into account. And sometimes what we think of a product in-house isn't what 50, 100 people out in the real world think of it when it's actually, after they supply their feedback. And all of that is looked at. And if the in-house testing and the external panel testing results don't align, we will tweak the formula and go through the process again. So nothing gets launched until we have an even playing field of great results from our in-house testing, great results from our external panel testing, and then of course there's an entire battery of stability and compatibility tests that happen as the product is, once the final formula is approved. All of those additional tests happen before we move to scale up and manufacture, and product actually goes into its tube or bottle and then is sent to our warehouses so that you can order it and it arrives in your home. As for whether or not we will do a video of our lab and whatnot, I don't know. I mean, it certainly wouldn't be like what ColourPop produced. That was pretty fancy and probably pretty expensive to make. From my personal perspective, I would rather see us put our money into the formulas, into the products themselves, rather than produce something extra fancy like that. But I certainly admire what they did. It's pretty cool. Maya says, "Hi Bryan, when using a sunscreen of SPF 50 and a primer of SPF 30, which one would be applied first? And will it also ensure that I'm getting an SPF of 50? Thank you." Very good question, Maya. The general rule is that the general rule to fall back on is that when you are layering sunscreen products, your protection, you shouldn't, how should I put this? I'm overcomplicating it. The actual amount of sun protection you get won't be higher than the highest rated SPF product. So, and the reason for that is because we know that layering SPF 50 and SPF 30 isn't going to net SPF 80. And logically, we know that putting another SPF product over or under an SPF 50 rated product, you're getting more protection than just the SPF 50. Don't get me wrong. But how much more we would not know unless we combined those two products and they went through formalized sunscreen or SPF testing, which is a long and not necessarily a complicated process. It's just involved. So just for the sake of figuring things out, it's just easier to say, you're not getting any more sun protection than your highest rated product, so people don't get a false sense of security and think, I don't need to reapply this, I've got SPF 600 going on. As far as which one to apply first, it is a matter of how the products feel. So I would try both ways and see what is most compatible. My gut instinct is to say put your daytime moisturizer with SPF 50 on first. Give it a moment to set. Not that you necessarily have to wait, but I find with SPF products that waiting a bit before that next step, which for most people would be makeup, tends to help. Helps the makeup go on better, easier. But the primer is also supposed to assist with that, so you can also put it on right afterwards if you want to. But that's how I would do it, with SPF 50 and then the SPF 30 primer and then your makeup, whether it's powder or liquid, and see how that goes. And then reverse the order and try it if you are not happy with the results. Tatiana says, "Hi Bryan, is it possible to develop sensitivity to hyaluronic acid and vitamin C? My skin has gone absolutely mad recently, very irritated, red and dry. I suspect these two are the culprits. Or is it because I've been also using PCCOM 1% Leave-On BHA exfoliator and every other night PC retinol barrier repair? Is it just too much? Now my skin doesn't seem to tolerate anything, even a simple moisturizer, SOS." So, Tatiana, these predicaments. Not fun, but let's see if I can talk you through it. So, developing a sensitivity to hyaluronic acid would be really unusual. Even though it's an acid. It isn't an acid in the sense that ascorbic acid, vitamin C, salicylic acid, not quite the same type of acid, just like there's fatty alcohols, which are benign, innocent ingredients for skin, and then there are the drying alcohols like SD alcohol and ethyl alcohol that are a problem for skin, but the ingredients still end in alcohol. So it's easy to look at those and think, oh, it's an alcohol, it's a problem. No, it's kind of the same thing with acids. So I wouldn't blame the hyaluronic acid. It could be that if you're using vitamin C and it's a higher strength vitamin C, it could be the combination of the vitamin C and the small amount of retinol in the moisturizer. The exfoliant may be playing a role, but because BHA is anti-inflammatory naturally and you're only using a 1%, I'd be much more likely to raise an eyebrow, just one, at an exfoliant if it was an AHA like glycolic or lactic acid, simply because those aren't necessarily harsh ingredients for skin, but they don't have the inherent calming properties of BHA. What to do? My suggestion, obviously I'm not necessarily looking at like everything that you're using here, but I think I've got the gist of it. Let's talk about getting your skin calmed down, and what I think you should do for 2-3 days in a row, separate from just still using sun protection in the morning, is buy a tube of over-the-counter hydrocortisone cream, 1%. Several brands make good ones, including Aveeno, who just launched one recently. Was it CeraVe or Cetaphil that have one? Cetaphil's just been pumping out products fast and furious. So much for their gentle skin cleanser, right? Anyway, you need to calm down your skin and keep things simple. And the hydrocortisone applied topically for maybe 3 to 5 days. Use your sunscreen in the morning. It should help a lot. And then you can gradually start to introduce the other products. What I would suggest doing is, because I suspect you're using a higher strength vitamin C product, I'd suggest cutting that from your routine and reintroduce the exfoliant, reintroduce the barrier repair moisturizer, and see how your skin does. And then you can experiment with reintroducing the vitamin C product, but maybe only using that 1 or 2 nights per week and not at the same time as retinol or salicylic acid. See what that does. Aiden says there is a variant of Botox called microbotox where they only inject in the skin, not the muscle, and it's supposed to shrink pores, smooth skin, and give an overall relaxed look to the face. Is this worth getting at all, or is it similar to mesotherapy, injecting vitamins into skin, where it's mainly just assumed it'll do something good for the skin, but it's not actually clinically proven? Same with skin boosters, which is hyaluronic acid injected into the face. It's meant to be like a permanent moisturizer. Will you ever release a probiotic booster? Aiden, all of these questions are you. Let's see. I haven't seen the information on the micro injections of Botox to reduce the appearance of pores, so I can't speak to that, but based on how Botox works, the pilosebaceous unit, which ends at the surface of skin with the pore opening that we see, but there's, if you could shrink yourself down to a very, very tiny microscopic size and actually like travel through a human pore, you'd see all kinds of cool and probably some gross stuff as you make your way down the pilosebaceous unit, which is the name of the entire structure. There is some muscle influence at the base there. I'm like, now I just kind of want to just go look at this research, but I mean, we'll keep chatting and find out what the heck that is all about, because I'm just trying to like map out in my head how that would work. It would assume that your pores have become the size they are because of some overuse of muscles, and that the reason we have pores on our face is along the same lines that we have wrinkles, horizontal wrinkles on our forehead and the 11s between our brows, because we're using those muscles too much. and eventually, you know, there's a line left because of overuse. So I'm not quite sure how that would work. Ditto with the hyaluronic acid and the whole issue with injecting that into the skin as opposed to injecting it superficially as opposed to injecting it deeper in the skin. First of all, it wouldn't be permanent. Your body will resorb that material. That's one of the reasons, and same thing with Botox, it eventually breaks down. That's one of the reasons you have to keep going back for more dermal filler and more Botox, and how long they last depends on the filler and depends on the person. I'm one of those people with Botox that when I first got it, my first 2-3 times, and it's been years since I've had any, but they told me, you know, we'll come back in 3 to 4 months and, you know, we'll do it again because it'll wear off. Well, 3 to 4 months went by, and then 6 months went by, and then 8 months went by, and I was seeing a little bit of degradation in terms of the lines coming back, but nothing that would make me, you know, schedule an appointment and get shot up again. And by the way, it doesn't hurt. They'll numb you either with ice or you can put a topical anesthetic on. It's honestly, it's donating blood hurts more. I'll look into that further, you guys, and see what I can find out. The other thing I wanted to say about superficial injections of hyaluronic acid is that in terms of it being permanent hydration, it incorrectly assumes that the only hydrating ingredient that can benefit skin or that skin needs is hyaluronic acid, and that absolutely isn't true. Hyaluronic acid occurs naturally in our skin. It's definitely a great hydrating ingredient, but your skin needs a lot of those types of ingredients. Just giving it one and thinking, you know, bye-bye moisturizer isn't going to do it. And a probiotic booster, we shall see. That would be a tricky product to make for various reasons. And for sure, the products out there now that contain probiotic ingredients or derivatives that are claiming they can balance your skin's microbiome, it's misleading at best and wrong or flawed at worst. And the reason for that is because we know from research that everyone's microbiome, just like our fingerprints, is different. Not only that, but even if a company could figure out what your unique microbiome is and say, all right, we're going to make you a custom probiotic serum that you can apply that will be perfect for your microbiome. Well, your microbiome isn't static. It's going to change. It's going to change by where you travel. It's going to change by who you are around, who you have contact with, where you live. Your other health factors going on inside your body can influence it. The weather can influence it. Skincare can influence it. On and on and on. So the bottom line is that there isn't a probiotic product that can balance your skin's microbiome. But what they can do is help stimulate and protect the substances that are already part of your microbiome that can become depleted or out of whack. Mostly just depleted or overrun by, you know, it's the microbiome is about that balance of good and bad substances, and it's a symbiotic thing. You can't have one without the other. You need them both to keep that balance. And so it's not about saying, I only want good bacteria or microorganisms on my skin. That would actually cause problems because it's about checks and balances. It's almost like good politicians and bad politicians. Although, man, I sure wish we had more good politicians. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to move Aiden. I know you have another question there. I'm going to keep going to get some other people, though, because we're running a little behind. Roel says, hi, Bryan. How did formulating mineral sunscreen change in the last couple of years for PC? Maybe you can use how formulating the Hydrolite SPF 30 versus the upcoming Defense SPF 30 started as an example. I'm not 100% sure what you're asking there. Every sunscreen formula is different. And in terms of how we go about formulating mineral sunscreens, regardless of the skin type it's for or other claims we want to make, you know, that would inform the ingredients we choose to support the claims based on research. but like what, for example, whether or not we go with zinc oxide in a higher amount or zinc and titanium in lower amounts of each, for a combined percentage that will, we're hoping will net us SPF 30. Because one of the frustrating things, we can't formulate, we don't know until a product is officially SPF tested. We don't know what rating we can claim. It isn't a guarantee that just because you use X amount of these active ingredients or this single active ingredient that you will get the SPF rating that you want. There are other factors in the formula that influence that. Now, we are aware, as are the chemists we work with, both in-house and out-of-house, we are aware of the benchmarks and the obstacles that have to be overcome in order to reach that SPF rating. And there's only been a handful of situations that I'm aware of where we didn't hit our target SPF and then had to go back to the drawing board. And sometimes it's incredibly frustrating. There was one instance, we don't sell this product anymore. It was a good product, we just don't sell it anymore. But when we were developing it, we got SPF 29, like 3 times. And we wanted it to be SPF 30. And we're like, oh my God, are you kidding me? It's still SPF 29. And that just looks silly on the label. When you see those odd, we're used to seeing the SPF numbers in like, 5, that end in either 5 or 0. SPF 15, SPF 30, SPF 45. And so SPF 29, what's that about? It just constantly made the product look like it didn't quite scale that wall. And it finally did. And interestingly, in that situation, it wasn't about increasing the percentage of active ingredients. It was about I believe it was about making the emulsification system in the lotion even more robust. And when we did that, you got to be careful with emulsifiers because some of them can be sensitizing when you're using them in high amounts. So there's just all these things to think about. But when we did that, the formula finally passed, and I think it actually ended up with SPF 32. But again, we don't want to use wonky numbers like that if we can help it. So we just, when your SPF rating goes above what you want to claim, you can claim that. We can claim SPF 32 or 36 or whatever, but you can also claim any SPF rating below that. So in theory, or actually in reality, you could get SPF 30, but then on your label put SPF 8. You're not deceiving anybody, at least the way the regulation goes, like you would be if you got a 30 and said, oh no, it's 35. March Sue says, I started using Resist BHA 2% treatment 1.5 months ago. I also added the Resist AHA 10% advanced smoothing treatment a couple of weeks ago and use it sometimes at night. I've just noticed that I seem to have some broken capillaries on my nose, on my cheeks, or on the nose area. I haven't used any mechanical scrubs. I also use niacinamide and vitamin C serums. Any ideas what I might be doing wrong? What could cause these sudden broken capillaries? So generally speaking, broken capillaries can surface as a result of like really physically manipulating your skin and being rough with it, like over scrubbing it or using really hot water, squeezing it, like, trying to extract blackheads or pop a pimple. But broken capillaries appearing as a result of topical ingredients in skincare that aren't necessarily known to be irritating isn't very common. So it could be a simple coincidence, that these capillaries, something else is going on that would have caused those, and it could just be years of sun damage. You're being good about it now, but including myself in this, we weren't consistently good in the past, just like we're not always consistently good about eating healthy foods. So it simply could be something that built, and then it's a coincidence that you're seeing it now. Or it could be that they were there but not very visible, and that something something in the skincare product you're using or the combination is causing some reddening, and so those capillaries are more apparent, whereas they were harder to see before. Now, as a response to the skincare products you're using, they're more apparent. That's a guess. I'm not saying that that's exactly what happened. The next question is what to do. It's I wouldn't in your situation I wouldn't say to apply the BHA and AHA at the same time. I would separate application of those, and probably use the AHA 10% maybe just twice a week at night. And you do say you use it sometimes at night, so okay, that sounds like what you're doing. Niacinamide is such a good anti-inflammatory among its many other benefits. It's kind of like right up there with azelaic acid for being this quadruple threat for skin, threat being a good word. This is always tricky because I don't know exactly everything. You called out some products that you're using that are more bioactive, but it may be something else at play. So you can experiment with only using one of those products at a time and seeing if you notice that one or another makes the broken capillaries more apparent. And if you see a pattern there, you can cut that product from your routine or look for a lower strength alternative. I want to caution you about taking an all or nothing approach when you suspect certain otherwise great ingredients may be a problem for you, because sometimes it isn't the ingredient itself that's a problem, it's the amount that you're using. And that's one of the reasons why at Paula's Choice, for example, with our exfoliants, we offer several different types and at different strengths, because not everyone's skin can tolerate the same strength, or maybe they can't use the same strength, for months on end. You have to alternate back and forth between higher and lower strengths. So I think I've given you some ideas to experiment with, and come back in the next couple of weeks as we keep doing these live chats through the summer, and let me know how you're doing, if my information was helpful at all, or if you're just like, this guy has his head up as you know where, I'm going to call somebody else. Let me know. I can take the criticism, and I'll try to do better. Paul says, hi Bryan, is it possible to over-exfoliate using chemical exfoliants? And if so, how can you tell? I love the results I get from using AHAs and retinol, but sometimes I think I'm overdoing it. For instance, after daily usage, my skin will look a little flushed and pores enlarge rather than the glowy, bright appearance I usually get. It doesn't feel irritating, but the appearance isn't great either. I love the results I get from them, but I'm not sure how to figure out the optimal usage for myself. Thanks so much. Paul, I have had a similar experience. And what I have found, I use our, did you mention what retinol product of ours you're using? Okay, you don't. That's all right. Not required. Yeah, I love the results from a BHA exfoliant and an AHA exfoliant and retinol, but I don't apply all of them at once. I go back and forth. And the retinol product that I use a few times a week is our 1% retinol booster. So when I apply that, which is always in the evening, not because you can't use it in the morning, it's just I'm one of those people that likes a more minimalist skincare routine during the day, and I will use 12 products if I have to at night. Totally fine. I don't mind going to bed looking all glowy or greasy if I have to. So in your situation, I think that the same practice could work really well. So for your retinol product, try scaling back to applying it maybe twice a week at night after you cleanse and use a toner. And if you haven't tried one of our toners, they're fantastic. I know that a lot of people think toners are kind of a superfluous step, or they perceive toners as being astringenty and drying and irritating and taking away from skin, and that's not our toners at all. Our toners are designed to complement the cleansing process and give back to skin rather than take away or strip from skin. I think our Resist Advanced Replenishing Toner is fantastic. I think anybody can use it. I also think, speaking man-to-man here, that it's a wonderful aftershave. So I'd highly recommend that product and putting it on before your retinol product. And then on the nights that you're not using retinol, use the BHA exfoliant, or I'm sorry, you mentioned AHA. And if you are in the habit of using AHAs twice a day, that could be playing a role too. With retinol, has a longer half-life in skin, which simply refers to once it's absorbed and reaches its target in skin, and that conversion happens to all trans-retinoic acid, how long that lasts in the skin is longer than for several other ingredients. Like, for example, it's longer than niacinamide. And what that means is that if you are applying retinol, particularly a high-strength retinol product, every single night, your skin may not be acclimating to it as well as you'd like it. And so you'll get those benefits, but you also get a little bit of, like, some dermatologists call it retinol dermatitis, where you're getting like a sunburned feeling but no visible redness. Your skin's just kind of tender to the touch. You might see some flaking. Your skin just kind of feels irritated, but doesn't necessarily look too much worse for the wear. And so you're kind of in this weird position where you're like, well, do I continue using it, or what's going on? And a lot of people tend to just dive into all this anti-aging stuff, with both feet, and they're like, yeah, give it to me. I want to use it as often as I can, as many active ingredients as I can, and let's look younger, fast. And sometimes slow and steady wins the race, and it isn't a good idea to throw everything at your skin at once. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, Paul. In fact, I think that's not what you're doing. But it's a good cautionary tale, because a lot of us fall into that mode of thinking with anti-aging that if a little is good, then more must be a heck of a lot better. And sometimes more can be better, but more isn't always better every single day or twice a day. Okay. Oh, that's where I said that. All right. Moving through. I think we need to do a little bit of a lightning round here. Carney. No, Camille. I need my glasses. Hi, Bryan. Wishing you a happy summer from the Netherlands. Hello. You were going to report back to me about the antioxidant capacities of chia seed oil. I did that. It was in the comments section of the chat where we talked about it. Go back and look from like 2 weeks ago. It's the Paula's Choice comic. I promise it's there. Dortch says, hi, Bryan. Hope you are well. I have no question today, although I always have many. Just a bit of blatant self-promotion. I wanted to know if you were aware of the Instagram Paula's Choice meme, the Instagram account. I am not. But everybody, I'm trusting you, Dortch, that this isn't like something bad. I don't think it is. Everyone check out paulaschoicememe.com. All right. I know I said lightning round, but let me take a quick look. See if I can get this to pull up. Paula's Choice meme. There are Paula's Choice memes, but it's going to count. It's amazing. Oh, these are cute. These are really cute. Here's some of the other ones. Sorry, I don't want to go down too big of a rabbit hole here. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. A lot of those are really cute. All right, back to the lightning round. Jenna, or Jacqueline. What is it with me and names today? Bryan, I was really enjoying the Skin Firming Line Minimizer, which has been discontinued. Are there any plans for a similar product to replace it? No. Lightning. I know, that was a great product. I miss it too. Maybe down the road. Unless PM says, woot. Rocco Buzz, welcome back, Bryan. What do you think about beauty gadgets like the Nurse Jamie ones, the face and neck roller? I just saw those the other day when I was poking around on Sephora. So I haven't seen them in person. They... Oh, my 10-second assessment is that they're products that, because of how they're made and whatnot, they feel nice on the skin, but they don't necessarily do a whole lot. I know people will say that they help reduce puffiness, and maybe they do if it's that mild edema from fluid retention, not age-related puffiness when things start to pooch. But I haven't, because I haven't experienced it or like checked it out in person. I never like commenting on something where I've only seen a picture of it, a product where I've only seen a picture of it online, and haven't kind of had that tactile, hands-on experience with it. KPN says, it's the hemp lotion safe during pregnancy. Also, what's the best PC cleanser for removing makeup? The best PC cleanser for removing makeup is all of them. They all work to remove makeup. Some they go about it different ways depending on the surfactants they contain. The one we specifically created for removing makeup, all kinds, is our Perfect Cleansing Oil. Pardon my burp. So I would say start with that, if especially if you are wearing long-wearing makeup or if you wear a more tenacious water-resistant sunscreen. Otherwise, for makeup removal, either of our resist cleansers are great for that. One being a lotion, the other being a pearlescent cream that foams. Those are great. Our gel cleansers, like in the Calm line and the Hydrolite and Earth Sourced, they don't do quite as thorough of a job. And I think that's true of gel cleansers in general, unless the gel cleanser contains a strong surfactant like sodium lauryl sulfate or TEA lauryl sulfate. But those are the types of gel cleansers that we wouldn't make because they would end up being too drying. So you'd get all your makeup off like this, and you couldn't open your mouth because it was so tight. We don't want that. Alex says, hi, what distinguishes cell-communicating ingredients from other actives like vitamin C that have a profound effect on the skin but are never labeled as communicators? How is the mechanism different? Not a fast question to answer, Alex, but a very good question. So interestingly, vitamin C technically would be a cell-communicating ingredient as well. We recently came across some research that says that when vitamin C can penetrate into the skin and maintain it in a stable way, meaning it isn't broken down before it can reach its target area, it actually talks to what's known as the dermal epidermal juncture. So it's that layer where the epidermis, the uppermost layers of skin, which is several layers, where that ends, and your dermis, the lower layers of skin where your collagen and elastin are, it's that juncture where the two meet, kind of like peanut butter and jelly. And vitamin C can talk to the lower layers of skin from the upper layers and basically, send messages saying, do this, we need more of this, stop doing that. And it does so, that's a different manner of communicating than what retinol does or what niacinamide does or even what certain peptides do. So what we're finding the more we delve into certain ingredients, hyaluronic acid being another one, is that a lot of ingredients have the skin replenishing, the cell communicating or skin restoring, and depending on the ingredient, antioxidant benefit. And we're trying to use as many ingredients like that as possible in our products at efficacious levels because we want you getting those benefits on multiple fronts. Okay, Skincare 30 Plus says, I use the hyaluronic acid booster and really like it. It mixes with other skincare products so well and makes them sink in faster. The only thing is that it's so tiny. Make it into a bigger bottle. Suggestion noted. I hope you did notice, though, that when we transitioned that packaging and the hyaluronic acid went down to a 1/2 ounce fill from a 0.67 ounce fill, that the price went down as well. It's not the same price it used to be. We lowered the price. We're cool like that. At least we try to be. Paul is asking if there's any plans to make a product with any ferments. Nothing in the works right now, but it's something that we're looking into. We're looking into a lot of stuff. Angela MW, the 1% clinical retinol is the best, all the way in Nairobi. That is an incredible product, Angela. I wish I could use it. Well, I shouldn't say that. I love the 1% retinol booster. I think the reason I can't use the clinical 1% retinol treatment is because of its base. It just doesn't agree with my skin. It just ends up feeling a little heavy. But we've got the booster, so I'm still getting my 1% retinol. Yes, I am Rumo. Bryan, I was wondering if there are any plans for an SPF 50 in the Calm line or maybe some body products. No and no, if you're referring to body products with SPF. Elizabeth, benzoyl peroxide versus tea tree oil. Do you think tea tree oil works better in the long run compared to benzoyl peroxide? I do not. And there's no research to back that up. What I am concerned about with tea tree oil, it's certainly antibacterial, and there is research showing that 5% concentrations and above, itchy nose, 5% concentrations and above can inhibit the P. acnes bacteria. However, unlike benzoyl peroxide, tea tree oil contains several volatile fragrance ingredients that, with long-term use, can certainly cause irritation and inflammation in the skin, which will make acne worse. Benzoyl peroxide isn't irritating per se. It is oxidizing. I mean, it does, the manner in which benzoyl peroxide works delivers an extra oxygen molecule to the skin, which kills the acne-causing bacteria. Benzoyl peroxide does cause some amount of free radical damage. Truth and beauty. However, if you are using other topical products in your routine that contain antioxidants, I wouldn't worry about that. And if your acne responds particularly well to benzoyl peroxide, I would stick with it, because not using a product like that to keep your acne under control can result in much more significant damage to your skin, up to and including the chance of permanent scarring. Nobody wants that. Elena says, hi Bryan, thanks for all your great info. I have a question about exfoliants. Is it okay to mix the 10% AHA serum with other serums instead of applying first? Yeah, that would be okay. It is going to slow the penetration of the AHAs, and that product actually has a little bit of BHA in it as well. We love sneaking the BHA in. It'll, depending on what you're mixing it with, you're going to get a bit of reduced penetration into the skin. It doesn't mean that it won't get to where it needs to go or do what it's supposed to do eventually. It's just you're getting in the way a little bit. But it's fine to combine them like that if you want to give it a go. 10% azelaic acid. Yes, indeed. Azelaic acid will be in Europe. Azelaic acid is in Europe. It has been in Europe for a while. It's our skin transforming multi-corrective treatment. You can buy it today. Danny Ray, hi, I'm currently using Retin-A micropeptide booster and of course sun protection. My question is, what other products or ingredients would you suggest to add to have stronger anti-aging routine? From here, it really would depend, Danny, on you're 32, normal to dry skin. It would depend on what your other concerns are. I would absolutely suggest using an AHA or BHA exfoliant. I think that's the one product you could add right now that would make everything else in your routine work even better. Which one to choose? You've got normal to dry skin. We generally recommend AHAs for that skin type. However, if you have blackheads, bumps, clogged pores, other types of breakouts, or if you have combination skin where your forehead area gets a little oilier, I know you said normal to dry, but let's say your skin gets combination in summer, then BHA would be a better choice. And we have lots. Don't be afraid to call our wonderful client services team. They can walk you through the choices and help you pick out the best exfoliant for you. We also have a product finder this on our site, which is a really cool, it seems very simple and easy to use, and that was the whole point. You don't want to go through something like that and be like, oh, this is taking forever, why is it so complicated? I say that, I mean, but not about ours, but as we were looking at what else was out there for that type of thing, the point I was trying to make is that a lot of behind-the-scenes work went into that product finder to make it as easy and seamless as it actually is. So we're really proud of it, and I encourage all of you who are looking at Paula's Choice, who are using Paula's Choice, to take the quiz. It's very fast and simple to go through, as I said, and see what recommendations you get. All right, let's do. I started a bit late, so we're going to go another 5 minutes or so. Sip of water. This is the triple lightning round. So my answers will be as brief as possible. I am not being rude. If you have a follow-up question, leave it in the comment section once this video is posted on our main page. Here we go. Judy says or asks, "Hi Bryan, what moisturizer with sunscreen do you recommend for normal to dry skin? Must only be mineral sunscreen. I would recommend our Skin Recovery Daily Moisturizing Lotion SPF 30. Elizabeth's azelaic acid compared to the tea tree oil, which is better? I have not seen comparative research on those two. However, given the number of other cool things that azelaic acid can do, I'm all for you using that over tea tree oil. I don't even care if the research exists saying that tea tree oil is better, because you're still exposing your skin to those fragrant ingredients that it doesn't need. Rocco says, by the way, you don't need prescription for BP up to 10%. I'm from Germany and we really don't need prescription. Well, that's interesting. I'll have to follow up on that. Maybe that's true in Germany, but not so in other countries. But I can follow up. I certainly didn't see any benzoyl peroxide products when I was in Europe and poking around some pharmacies, but there you go. I did not do that in Germany. Karen says, is it possible that BHA lightens my tattoos? No, not really. BHA is it's exfoliating the superficial layers of skin. It's not going deeper than that. More likely culprit, especially if you've had the tattoo for a while, would be sun exposure. Hello, Bryan. I use the clear BHA normal strength and BP extra strength, but still having big pimples. I use at night time because 2 times a day is too drying. Any other tips to prevent those? You might need to talk to a dermatologist about prescription topical options, including the potential of getting a benzoyl peroxide topical antibiotic combination. Those are out there. You can discuss with your dermatologist which one would be best for you. I would recommend, though, in terms of our products, try swapping your normal strength BHA in clear for the extra strength, and then try stepping down from the 5% benzoyl peroxide to the 2.5%. That switcheroo may be just what you need to get things in check and not have to use it less often because twice a day is too drying. Just got that. Okay, Kiru. Hi, Bryan. I bought the PC hyaluronic acid and peptide boosters, but one or both of them balls up once I start to layer other products or makeup on top. What do you think the issue is? We have the peptide booster on some people can do that if you over apply it. You don't need a lot of that product. You want to do a thin layer of it. So when you're dispensing it from the dropper applicator, about a pearl-sized amount should be plenty for your entire face. You can add a bit more if you're also applying it to your neck. And then give it a minute or two to absorb and see if that makes a difference. Nora says, hi, does layering always work? I have a primer and foundation full of antioxidants and peptides, but they go on top of serums, eye creams, and a thick moisturizer. Do I still get benefits from all of it? For the most part, yes. The ingredients will get to where they need to go, but they may have a bit of a harder time getting there as far as just a bit of a delay. So kind of think of it as, being on a road trip, and rather than driving from point A to point B and getting there in half an hour, you make a couple of stops, take a couple exits along the highway, and you arrive 15 minutes later. Liz, in the past year, you've spoken about UVA damage. With this in mind, would you recommend against washing the day off before darkness? I would, yeah. If as it gets cooler at night, putting on more protective clothing. Switch from short sleeves to long sleeves rather than keep reapplying your sunscreen. But yeah, if there's the light is less intense, obviously, as night is falling, but the threat is still there. Okay, last one. Luna. Hi, Bryan. I know I'm supposed to apply a 1/4 teaspoon of sunscreen on my face every day, but I'm wondering how much I need to reapply throughout the day if I'm staying outside. The notion of applying a quarter teaspoon to the face is misguided. I know that we're looking for that helpful amount, so that you know exactly how much to use that constitutes liberal application. But think of it this way. Everybody's face size is different. I've got a big face. I've got like a big butt face. I need a lot of sunscreen for this face. Some people have much smaller faces, and if they were to use the amount of sunscreen I use, it would be way too much for them, and it wouldn't feel comfortable on their skin. So what we stress is apply the sunscreen liberally and evenly. Apply a layer that you can see, and then let it absorb. And then in terms of reapplication, especially if you're outside all day, I know this is not a quick fire answer, but it's the last question. If you're outside all day, in direct sunlight in particular, and always take steps to spend time out of direct sunlight whenever possible. No sunscreen is 100% effective. I'm freckling. I'm putting my mineral sunscreen on. I'm still getting some freckles in color. No sunscreen is 100% effective. You would want to reapply as much as you put on initially, because if you're outside, particularly if you're sweating, that protection is getting really, really diluted, and it's also breaking down, because sunscreen actives do break down in the presence of direct sunlight. And then to some degree from the passage of time, but not just the passage of time alone. And by that I mean, if you put SPF 30 on in the morning and you're only exposed to 10 minutes of daylight throughout the course of your day, by the time you get home at night, that SPF 30 is more than likely going to be just as effective, or like 90% as effective as when you put it on that morning. All right, that is a wrap. Thank you so much for hanging in there. I know that there are some questions. How many questions did I just not get to today? Okay, well, not like a super ton of them, but please post your questions, copy and paste them. Post them once this video is up on our page. I do come back in the days following the chat, and I will answer as many of them as I can. I'm going to sound like a Time Life operator. Your questions are important to me and will be answered in the order they're received, but I will answer them. So yes, Paula's Choice, 23 years, daytime moisturizers with sunscreen, 23% off. Incredible azelaic acid booster launching next month. And come back and see me right here next week. I'll be back. Take care.